Marston's Domain.
Hey everyone, Marson here, and today I want to talk about Paper Mario and the Origami King because we just got a new trailer on it, and I am completely sold on this game. So I've already talked about this game in previous videos on previous trailers and everything, and just talking about the game in general, and I've been pretty positive, and I've been pretty optimistic. This trailer has me completely sold. I had already pre-ordered the game when it was available for pre-order after whatever trailer, and I was still, like I said, optimistic, but I wasn't fully seeing this game as, yes, I'm gonna 100% enjoy it. It was still questionable. And I would like to reiterate, just in case if people didn't see my previous videos, I am a huge old school Paper Mario fan. I loved the first game. I really, really loved it. And I never finished the second one, just because I was younger, didn't buy it, I rented it, just didn't finish it. Then I got Super Paper Mario, and it wasn't for me, and then just going throughout the series, I didn't get any of them until Color Splash, and then Color Splash I didn't enjoy because of the combat. So now we're here, and seeing this trailer, this game looks absolutely incredible. I honestly can't believe how much they exceeded my expectations. Now, the combat is still something that we need to talk about, but I'm gonna talk about that last. So in terms of everything else that this game has to offer, it's seriously, again, I know I said this, but it looks incredible and it exceeded my expectations. Graphics wise, I know we saw what the game looked like in previous trailers, but something about seeing this trailer, in certain areas, I honestly couldn't believe how good it looked. The art style in general looks great, but some of the different areas, the details in them looked honestly amazing. And I actually can't wait to explore these worlds. And anyone that knows me, I'm not too huge into exploration. I'm more old school with just, here's the game, do the things that are in the game, and move on. I'm not a real big side quest person. It's just how I am. I think I was a little bit more into it when I was younger, and then as I got older, it became less and less. But that doesn't mean that a game can't get me to do it, because Odyssey, I loved running around in that game. And this game looks very similar, because they also showed something off at the end of the trailer that blew my mind, because I did not think they would go this far with this. So one thing that I really liked about Color Splash, which I never finished because I did not like the combat at all in that game, was the fact that you could run around and find little paint spots that you had to fill in. That was a ton of fun for me. And I didn't really think they would do any type of equivalent for this game at all. And when they get to the collectibles part, they show these toads that you can find, and I was like, okay, cool, that's a substitute, it's similar, you gotta find these things, sweet. Then they showed off the confetti thing, which actually is the paint spot thing. So not only do we have the paint spot thing back, but we also have a whole new collectible to get. And then they also showed off another collectible thing that you can get throughout doing stuff in the game. So there's 3 different types of collectibles for completionists to go for. Well, the confetti thing is not really a collectible, but it's a thing to do for completionists. And I'm a completionist, so all those 3 factors are huge for me. Absolutely huge. And it makes me start to wonder if this really is the route they're trying to go with Paper Mario, where it's not so much just about the combat, it's about the Paper Mario world. And I think with this game, they've actually achieved that. Now, I haven't played it yet, but from looking at it, it seems like they're achieving that. So before we get into the combat, there's 2 other things that I want to talk about. One of them is the partners. I'm okay with the partners. I know some people will look at them and say they don't seem that original in terms of what they were in the other games. I think they're fine. I honestly think they're cool. I don't really care that they're not super unique. It just doesn't bother me. But I totally understand why it would bother some people. I'm just glad the partners are back. I don't think they're so unoriginal that they're completely boring. I think they're fine. And I still love seeing Bowser moving around in that folded paper look. I think it's funny, and I have a feeling that he is going to be one of your partners because we've seen him walking around with Mario. And any game that lets Bowser partner up with Mario, I always think is cool, because it's just cool to me to see when something is going on that's so bad that Bowser is like, all right, I have no choice. I have to work with my rival. I just think it's really cool. So for me, I don't think they're that unoriginal. I mean, I could see with the Bob-omb, it's just a Bob-omb. I could see that argument, but I don't know. For me, it just doesn't bother me. And before I continue on to my next point, I want to say, again, I totally understand people that wish it was more like the old games. I get it. And I don't want people to think that I'm just defending this game just to defend it. I did not like Color Splash at all. The combat was terrible. I did not like it. And I never played Sticker Star. And I didn't like Super Paper Mario, which a good amount of people did like. So I'm not just trying to defend this game just to defend it. I honestly think it looks really cool and it's exceeding my expectations. Now, the reason why I wanted to make that clear before my next part is because I think this is where a good amount of people might not agree with me. I actually think the bosses are cool. I can totally see why some people think that it's boring, or maybe unoriginal, or that they could have just made new Mario characters, but for me, I honestly think it's cool. I don't know what it is, but seeing this type of thing is where I love Nintendo because they're just wacky. It's just such a wacky idea. And seeing an idea like this just makes me feel like a kid again. I don't know why, but just seeing this type of imagination just brought me back to being a kid. And it was a really cool feeling. And I think it's just because the idea is just so out there. It just reminds me of when I was a kid and you just have that big imagination. And it's kind of why how when you're a kid, you can just play outside and make up a bunch of random games with your friends using your imagination. As you get older, that kind of goes away. So to see this, it just honestly seems like a really cool idea. And I kind of can't wait to see what other types of bosses there are. And I think it's neat how you have to actually figure out how to beat them in a specific way. And with that, we will talk about the combat. So even though I think it's cool that you have to beat the bosses in a certain way, I can see how this may not pan out too well. I could see how maybe it'll be too gimmicky, maybe it won't be that great. And I'm obviously hoping that it is fun and that it is cool, but seeing it, there is a chance that it may not be cool and it may just be too gimmicky and it may just not be fun. But we've only seen one of the bosses really in depth, so hopefully it turns out to be fine. But in terms of the combat in general, I think that the combat is fine. I think the combat is above just okay, and that's fine for me. Because with Color Splash, it was definitely me just giving the game a chance. With this game, I think I'll actually enjoy the combat. Do I wish the combat was more like the old games? I honestly don't even know at this point. I think my answer would still be yes, but seeing this game makes me not care about that right now. I really don't. I think they did something new, something unique, and I'm fine with the first two games being the way that they are and keeping it at those first two games. Now, I should reiterate that that doesn't mean that I never want a traditional Paper Mario game. Like, if they decided to make one, yeah, I'd be all for it and want to try it. But I think it's just the fact that we're not getting that, and I've accepted that, and I'm looking at this game completely separate from those first two, because it's been a long time. And they know that fans want an old-style Paper Mario game, and they're still not doing it. And I think they're just trying to do something different that still resonates with people and people still enjoy it without just relying on old school combat. The one thing with the combat that had me nervous, which I don't think is the case, is it seemed like there weren't timed attacks or timed actions or whatever it's called. I think it is in this game because there's points where the combat will say excellent or great, and there's parts where it doesn't say anything at all. And whenever he uses an item, it doesn't say anything. But when he uses his hammer, or when he jumps, it'll say great or excellent. So I think timed button presses are still here. If those aren't here, then that's going to really bother me. But I think the whole moving the ring around and stuff, I think it's a neat little gimmick. Maybe it'll end up being annoying and not fun after doing it for a while, but that's something that I don't know until I play the game. And from what I've seen, this game looks absolutely incredible, and I went from wanting to get it and pre-ordering it to being legitimately excited for the game to the point where I can't wait for it to come out. So this one trailer made me that much more excited for this game, and I was already optimistic about the game in the first place. So one other thing I'd also like to say is that I think it's really neat how there's different mini games in this game, and there's also neat little side things that you do while you're exploring the different areas. One of them, you're flying around and there's paper airplanes coming at you, and then there's one part where you're underwater in like a submarine. That was so cool to me. Anyone that's been following my channel for a while knows that I love underwater stuff, so seeing that, I was like, man, this looks cool. So I'm super excited for this game. I can't wait for it. But that's all I really have to say about this. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think about all this. Are you excited for this game? Are you not excited? Let me know in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this and want to support my content, feel free to subscribe. And until next time, I'll see y'all later. Take care, everyone.